Hello, everyone. Let's see. A couple settings I forgot to change. Hang on. That should do it. All right, we got the lights off again because I have a pretty bad migraine. Anyway, back to spinning. It's been a little while since I guess just yesterday, but it feels a lot longer for some reason. So I carded up the stuff for the wool spin yesterday, which is pretty exciting. I'm not totally sure how we're going to go on that. Probably wait till there's some more people on to discuss it too much, but yeah, we'll see. I might do some tests, honestly, just like on my own, just because I'm not totally sure if the 100% cashmere is actually going to be particularly spinnable. Like, I want a nice result. It's cashmere. It was expensive. So we'll have to see. I might end up blending all of it with another really beautiful fiber that would help it spin better. But I also don't want to do that unless I have to. So I guess there is some testing required. So yeah, we'll see. In the meantime, we're just going to get as far as we can with this. I don't think it's going to be a very long stream today because I have been really overdoing it lately, and I'm really tired and in a lot of pain. So, but I also, I don't like just not spinning. I don't like taking long breaks, and I like making regular progress. So we do that to the best of our ability, really. There's all this VM in this first section that I'm not happy about. Some of it I'm fine ignoring, like the small bits of seeds that is just not ever going to come out. But, some of it should. Like the pokey stuff or the stuff that's just like a big hard lump, it's not really going to be enjoyable in a blanket. So we do want to take that out. I'm hoping a lot of how I'm feeling is just because I got some piercings yesterday and they were pretty rough. It was a rough time and like shockingly incredibly tiring. I basically got home and passed out for several hours. Yeah, so I'm hoping it's just the after effects of that. It's a lot more physically intensive than I thought. I was getting my septum pierced and a couple other piercings, and he had to try 3 times. He kept hitting the cartilage wrong, and you could really easily see that it was just super off center isn't the right word, but tilted, I guess. And like the first one was not ideal, and the second one was way worse in terms of appearance. So by the second one, I was like, well, I don't want to keep this, but also you've already stabbed me in the nose twice. Might as well make it 3 times. So we did finally get it, but it hurts so bad each time. And I'm pretty sure even after the 3rd time, he was going through the cartilage still, or at least the thicker skin. Yeah, so that was not pleasant. I have a really messed up nose, though, so it doesn't necessarily shock me that it was difficult. Like, I've broken my nose so many times, and I have a deviated septum, so that doesn't help. Yeah, so I wasn't really blaming him about it. I don't necessarily think it was his fault. I think another piercer might have done the same thing, but it was very exhausting. At one point, I was like, look, man, don't feel bad. I've had medical procedures that were 1,000,000 times worse than this, and it wasn't even for fun. I don't know if I helped or not. It might have made things worse. I don't know. Hey, Skylar, welcome in. It's nice to see you. We're still working on the rule, getting up this thing. I do have the lights dim again. Let me know if it gets too dark to see. And I'll see what I can do about it. There are a couple other lights I have that I can turn on, other than the main lights that I'm going to keep that if necessary. Hopefully it is bright enough. But yeah, that was But it's over, and I'm incredibly determined not to get this infected and or lose it, because I really do not ever want to get my second pierced ever again. So, especially now that I assume I've built up a lot of potential scar tissue. Yeah, the other piercings were just ear piercings, and they're doing like totally fine. I honestly don't even think I felt them. My nose was so painful that by the time he got to my ears, it was like, whatever. But I'm happy with how they look. I look a lot more like myself, I think, which is odd. I had that experience when I got top surgery as well. Like looking down and being like, oh, that's what I was supposed to look like. I did not think I'd get that from piercings. I'm a little bit shocked, actually. And these aren't even like the things that I would choose for myself. Like in terms of jewelry, they're just what they had. But yeah, I'm pleased. Doesn't look too dark so far. That's good. Okay. Yeah, just let me know if it does, and I appreciate it. Yeah, I don't think we'll be doing too long of a stream, so I don't think it's going to get dark on us. It doesn't usually get dark unless I do some really late streams at the moment. So yeah, I think it should stay approximately this lightness until we're done. I want to get as much of this done as possible, but I would really doubt that we would finish it today. But ideally, we'll get it like almost done, and then I can transfer all of one bobbin onto my spinner storage bobbins, and then the stream after that we can finish up spinning and start flying. I think that's the plan, because it might also be a multi-day thing flying. I wouldn't be super surprised. There's a lot of yarn to ply, and it all has to be wound off onto the nibby knotty as well, which is not really fast at all. So yeah, flying might be a multi-day thing. Hopefully not. Hopefully not though. Ideally not. It feels like it's going smoother than it usually does, actually. I don't know what, if anything, changed, but it feels like it's just working better. It's possible that this latest batch of hoodies was a lot better. I do feel like every time I make more, I'm getting a lot better at making them. But that said, it's also like there's more and more debris in here every single time. I feel like logically, I don't think that can be true, but it certainly feels like there is that I'm just like swimming in plant debris. I'm trying to like console myself out of, leaving it in or into leaving it in, I guess, just by thinking like, look, 2/3 of the surface of every single one of these singles is going to be covered up. And that means that statistically speaking, 2/3 of this VM, you won't even notice it's there, which is not helping. I wish it did, because like it's a pretty good argument for leaving in a lot more than I am. But it's not enough. Like, is it possible to remove all of the big pieces of debris that would be bothersome? Not really. Am I gonna try anyway? Apparently so. And the problem is when I start picking out debris, I'll just go down the whole line of what I have spun and out. So I'll end up picking out the little bits that wouldn't even bother me. So it takes even more time than it should. Hopefully I will get over myself. So what are you up to today, Skylark? Are you also? It was very cool seeing your wheel. That last post, by the way. It looks like an antique, although I couldn't see enough of it, and I don't know enough about wheels to really know one way or another, but it looked antique, which is always very fun. I worry I'm spinning this too thin. Like, I am gonna apply this, but I just realized that at some point I stopped trying to thick spin this at all, and I'm just spinning it, and it's ending up pretty similar to like my go-to weight at the moment, which is not a worsted three ply. It's like a worsted, it's a DK three ply maybe, something along those lines. Sometimes finger mode, to be honest. This stuff does puff up and also shrink in terms of yardage a lot more than most roll. I think it feels comparable to Chrono in terms of how much it puffs and how much of the length you use, which is a lot. But even so, I'm suddenly thinking like, I don't think this is actually going to be a thick 3 ply like I wanted. Which, I mean, that's, I can absolutely still make a blanket out of that, but also I did spend a really long time figuring out how to thick spin button. To be kind of ashamed to not ever actually use that outside of my experiments for it. I don't know. What will say? No, you're not spinning today. You've been thinking of moving, so you're actually looking at apartments at the moment. Oh, nice. I hope it goes well if you do move. I'm so sick of moving myself, but I think I just moved a little bit too often in a short period of time. And now I'm like, if I never move again, it'll still be too thin. On the other hand, though, like with the yarn weight, more like thinner means more yardage. So there is that. I guess I'll try and spin a little bit thicker, but it is what it is. I do know that the first bobbin was a bit thicker. So So hopefully that'll carry me for this set. I keep wanting to call it skiing because I know that's what I'll get once I applied everything, but it's going to be multiple skiings, and it's kind of hard to figure out how to say that in a grammatically correct way. So I just keep trying to, which feels not India. I also recently upped I take, so a little odd. That is probably why. Kind of doubled it, actually. It is helping a little more. Not as much as I wish it would, though. That's for sure. But it's also like, since I'm moving doctors, it feels a little bit pointless to be negotiating with my current pain management doctors. Since the stuff that she's spending does still work as long as I take double the amount. I don't know. I'm really not good at negotiating with doctors on that kind of stuff, which is unfortunate. I could probably be having a much better time if I was. But at this point, it's like, I've spent enough time with doctors that really I just want to spend less time with them, and I will do almost anything to make that happen. So, that could make it go away. I don't understand how some of this stuff gets in here. Like, this is just a splinter. It's a tiny bit of wood. Why is it in here? Where did it come from? I don't know. You hate moving, but could really use more space. Yeah, that's fair. I think that's something I will definitely look forward to when I do eventually move, because I'm living in what feels like a matchbox. And I mean, partly I want my cat to have more space. I feel really bad that she's trapped in here all the time. I do take her on walks when I can, but that is increasingly less often. And the weather doesn't really allow for it that often either, because she's not going to enjoy it if it's raining. It rains very often here. So I think that is basically the one reason I will want to move. More space eventually. Quite understandable. I thought I'd have more psychological issues with living in a really small place, but I think the particular layout of this apartment helps, because there's 2 rooms to it, even though it's actually a studio. Like, there's no door, but you can't really see from one side of the apartment to the other. So it means that I can be in a different area in my apartment, like visually a different area in my apartment without leaving. It does also mean that the area I spend most of my time in, though, is like 150 square feet. But I don't know. I don't actually spend most of my time here. I spend most of my time at work. I spend some of my time here. I think I just needed to get out of my head. Like, when it comes to drafting, if I get in my head about it, it'll start getting way too thin, and then if I just stop doing that and switch to a slightly more, then it works a hell of a lot better. So I just need to be doing that. think this is so less times that I've let it snap like that than the previous stream. Previous stream, sometimes it was like multiple times just in one puni, and so far I think we've kept it to once per puni, in fact. It could be worse. Not bad. Definitely getting there. Even though I had a long weekend, I did not go shopping, meaning I'm currently drinking my very last coconut water and trying to psychologically prepare for not having coconut water. Very hard. I mean, I'm so much more hydrated when I actually have it because it's just a lot easier to drink and I drink it more often. So I think it helps with migraines to do that. Like when I consistently have it, I think I have less migraines, it feels like. But the problem is that it takes about an hour to get to that store on the buses and an hour to get back. And that means I spend an hour on the bus with about 30 pounds sitting on my lap because it's way too heavy for me to lift onto my chair in a bag. I have to just put it in my lap. That's the best I can do. And it has definitely also been contributing to hip issues. So I just wasn't feeling up for it, but damn it. I can feel the migraines circling like vultures. My sister said she might get some for me, so hopefully she will do that. But I know she's also really busy right now, so. And like, this is one of the few stores that really does not deliver and will never deliver, just due to the nature of it. So it's either go there myself and I'll take a really long bus ride back, or don't get my coconut water. I could get it from other places. It's just I can't afford it in large enough quantities at the full price for it to really be helpful. It's like a treat, which is not helpful. It's really cheap at that one store. Just to get to. What's annoying is that it's not even a 10-minute drive from my house. It's like a 5-minute drive from my house. But because of bus schedules and things of that nature, it takes an hour to get there every time. There it is. What it is. Might have to buy more bottles instead. Maybe that would help. I actually didn't really consider that until now, but I could get water bottles. Bulk quantity almost anywhere. And I would probably drink those at about the same rate. Maybe I would have to do that. See, this is why I like talking to myself on stream. It's like the rubber duck method. Just explain things on stream to myself for long enough, eventually I'll find a solution. Will I be able to go shopping soon? No. I can't really shop on weekdays, or on work days, that is. I'm just too tired, especially if I'm trying to stream. Like if I'm streaming on a day that I have work, that means 100% of my day is filled. I do not have time for anything other than those two things. And even if I don't, it takes too long to get there for me to be able to do it on a weekday. So, not really. I could go to other shops though. There's a shop that's like directly on my way home from work that does not carry that product, but does carry bottles of water. So that is probably what I would do. I did spend the whole weekend like cooking food and somewhat meal prepping, so at least I won't have a problem with food. Made so much focaccia, and then I ate all of that, and then I made more focaccia today, which I probably should not have. A lot more moving around than I was up for, but I wanted to bunch it so badly that I did it anyway. It's still cooling, so I won't know if it was worth it until probably tomorrow morning, but it looks and smells good. And it's so hard to mess up focaccia to make it in a day. I don't think I've ever actually done that even once. So. And then I also made a whole bunch of deviled eggs, which I really like, which is good because the eggs are definitely about to go in. Stuffings and eggs I have not seen before. I don't know, they were kind of weird. Like, I can't tell if I let them go too long, or really it's my sister who would have let them go too long because most of the eggs were in her place. But yeah, I can't tell if I let them go too long or if maybe I just cooked them in a way that they really did not like. Because I was cooking a lot more eggs than I typically do for one batch. And I miscalculated how long they needed to cook. And ended up cooking them twice. Because I had to basically boil them again so they wouldn't soft boiled eggs. And yeah, I can't tell which one did it, but they were a little weird. They do taste fine though. They just look weird. Yeah, they're edible, so I'm happy. If I remember correctly, I processed, like I was a little bit more careful when I processed the last batch, and I feel like it's paying off. I can't be sure that it's like that I'm having an easier time due to that specifically, but it feels like even when I get down to the ends, which are typically the most dodgy part, it's still holding together, which is nice. It's a nice surprise. A lot of the time at the very ends, what I've been doing is basically just pulling them off and sticking them back in the cotton pile to process again later. But I haven't had to do that this whole time today, so I think that's a good sign. That means we're making a little bit more progress. I did just realize I forgot to bring my compression cuffs over here, so that is unfortunate. Hey Zertra, welcome in. Must have been really good focaccia. You remember me talking about making it? Yeah, that first batch was so good. I didn't have the same ingredients for the second batch, but the first batch, I think it was the pesto that made it really, really good. And I made it with a considerable amount of raw onion in there. I basically just blended it all up in my Cuisinart. And it's a very old, dodgy Cuisinart, so it just sort of minced it, which I guess was fine. The texture was great. All turned out really well. I don't have anywhere near as much practice making high hydration breads, Like I've been a baker since I was a kid, pretty much. But in terms of dough hydration percentage, it's always been the higher percentage, the stuff that you could really easily knead. I feel like I tried stretch and fold really early on in my baking career and could not wrap my head around what was happening. This was before I had much access to YouTube, so that was probably part of the reason. But yeah, I just kind of didn't try it for like a decade and a half, and now I am, and I'm like, damn it, this is so much better, and I enjoy it so much more too. You don't want to frighten me, but you had a friend of yours had a focaccia phase, and it lasted something like 10 months. Yeah, I could see that happening to me. Thanks for the warning. Like, the issue is that it's much easier to make than bread usually is. It's just so much more forgiving. There's no shaping. There's no, like, it's just stretch and fold and proof, and that's it. And because it's so easy and also so quick, I literally just like decided to make some and then made some in the course of like 4 hours without a whole huge amount of effort. And you can make it really good with the inclusions in a way that doesn't really work with like a sandwich bread. Yeah, so I can see how someone might have a focaccia phase lasting 10 months. If that happens to me, I look forward to it. We still be eating well. You already ate dinner, but this is making you hungry again. Yeah, that's how I feel about focaccia too. I ate an entire loaf pan of it in like less than 24 hours. Less than 12 hours, actually. It was the problem. I'm gonna try really hard not to do that with this current batch. I've already made the decision to not eat it while it's still like steaming hot this time, which is a step up from last time where I totally ruined the crumb structure doing that, and it didn't even matter. It was still super good. But nonetheless, this time I'm sticking to my guns. I'm not doing that. This particular food is not behaving. It's breaking constantly, which kind of supports my theory that at least the majority of the ones that I made in the last batch are of better quality. Because it's clearly not just like how I'm doing today. I think it's how the fiber is. So that's nice. I mean, it's not nice that this one is breaking a ton, but it did that like all day last stream. So it's nice that the majority, at least, are not doing that. And now that I've once again remembered that I can't micromanage long draw and have it still work, we're also going a lot faster again. I say actively micromanaging my long draw. I don't know why it's so hard to keep my hands off of it. I think it's like there's sort of this instinct ingrained in me that if I leave it alone, terrible things will happen. Because that is generally true, for me at least, of spinning. Like my usual spinning style, at least for wool, involves a lot of micromanaging, and that's just how I usually do it, but it doesn't work for cotton at all. Long draw method is the only thing that's good. Let it work and not take a little bit of time. I also need to build up more tricks. The problem is, like, when it goes thin, then I want to try and fix it, which causes a cascade of failures. Whereas if I don't fix it and just keep spinning, it seems to stay at that one failure. It doesn't spread. But it's hard to remember that in the moment. But I need to just let it stick no matter what. And like also, I don't really want it to be thread thin at points, but I can't seem to actually effectively fix it. Like I do that, and then a couple centimeters below it does the same thing all over again. So I'm so proud of myself. I haven't bumped my septum piercing with the cap of my coconut water even once this whole stream. But I've been doing that all day otherwise, so. It's weird though, like, I didn't expect it to change the way that swallowing feels, but it does, because I guess whatever muscles are engaged during swallowing either connect up with my nose, or for some reason I engaged with my nose muscles when swallowing. I don't know which. But like I can feel the piercing muscle every time I swallow. Quite odd. I suspect it's the latter actually, because I have, for some strange reason, very mobile nose muscles, and I can make it do all sorts of things that nobody else seems to be able to do, just by like flexing those muscles. And yeah, I don't think it's normal. So I'm guessing that's the culprit here. I'm sure we'll get used to it pretty soon. Forget and stop noticing that. That's usually how it goes with such things. And delicious buns, yeah. See how that would be an issue. I mean, bumping my nose against the cap is definitely an issue, but the swallowing thing, I don't think is an issue. I hope. They didn't say anything about not moving my nose at all. Maybe because it was implied because most people can't. Unclear. I forgot to ask. But my nose is going to do what it does no matter what. So it just is what it is for the next 6 months until it heals. That would be a compelling reason to make focaccia this whole time, so that I have something good to look forward to if I have troubles with my nose healing. I had a really bad time healing just like my standard earlobe piercings when I got those. But I have also heard that those are some of the rougher ones to heal. Like some of the rougher common ones anyway. So with the septum would be an issue. It's kind of nice to have some sort of issue like that where at least if all goes well, it will resolve itself, as opposed to my other issues, which do not resolve themselves without intervention, or sometimes ever. So it's like, yay, a pedestrian medical issue. That's nice. Although that said, I don't want to become a doctor. I don't actually not do that at all, actually. Yeah, so I think we're gonna purposefully cut it off at 1 hour, because otherwise I will do the same thing I have been doing, which is destroy my knees in pursuit of a cotton summer blanket. So yeah, so that's about 20 minutes from now. Put a pause on it. Somehow your earlobe piercings are the only ones that had trouble healing, and you have several helix ones. Yeah, that's what I've heard. Like, when it comes to ears, there's a few that are worse. Like industrial seems to have trouble healing for a lot of people, but the earlobes are the worst ones, which I just wouldn't have expected, given that that is the majority of people's starter piercings, right? Like it was my starter piercings. But it was also like many months of infections and irritation. Part of it was because I was definitely using metal that I was allergic to, and I couldn't know that. So it would heal like almost entirely, and then I would switch it out for a new earring, and that earring would be like dodgy thrift store jewelry because I was an idiot. And yeah, then it would get infected, and I'd have to deal with it all over again. I'm really determined to not do that this time. I'm just going to leave in this jewelry until it's done. I just cannot deal with that again. It's so annoying. I did get another set of lobe piercings though, so I have a feeling that I'm gonna have similar problems no matter what. Because part of it is just like if you lay on your side at all, you're gonna be aggravating the piercing potentially a lot. And I kind of have to be switching my sides when I'm laying down. I don't really have a choice in the matter, so yeah, we'll have to see. But I've really wanted double lobe piercings for like years now. To be honest, I feel like I should have gotten them when I got the first set of lobe piercings. I should have just done two, but I didn't, so I'm doing them now. I just think it looks really nice, especially with like if you get rings, like two rings right next to each other. I feel like that looks really nice. That's what I want to do when mine are healed. Rings in there. Looking forward to it for sure. Protect my knees. Yeah, trying to. You have an industrial. It went great. Everyone is jealous of you. Congrats. That's nice. I have a couple of friends who got industrials and ended up just letting them heal several years later because they had problems with them the entire time and they just never fully healed and it was getting annoying. Entire time and they just never fully healed and it was getting annoying. My ear shape is not suitable for industrials anyway. I have really flat ears for some reason, so there's kind of nothing to pierce through. So it's a non-issue for me, but I think you got super lucky with that. That's awesome. I'm glad for you. I feel like one more session of this, even if it's like an hour-long session, I think that is all we'll need to get this last thought and stuff. So if I have the energy for it, I think after I finish up tonight, I'm going to reel the rest of it onto my storage bobbins. It doesn't actually take very much energy. The e-spinner is thankfully doing pretty much all the work. but I do have to keep an eye on it and move it around and stuff. So it depends on how tired I am. But that would mean that we could just get straight to flying quickly after the next stream, which would be nice. Also, if I did a 1 hour stream tomorrow, then I would have time to go grocery shopping and pick up my meds and stream. And I think that would be all the time we needed to finish this off. So that kind of sounds like a attractive option. Because I feel like, at least for me, see, this is exactly why I'm not supposed to intervene, is because then it snaps the whole length, and we'll just keep doing that for a while until I don't know, done something right again. I still don't know what changes. Anyway, oh yeah, I just feel like flying is not as physically intense, especially at something other than a chain fly. Chain flying is more involved, and even so, I feel like chain flying is not as physically intense as spinning singles is. But something like a laid 3-ply or a laid 2-ply, neither of which are actual terms other people use, but I feel like those are kind of like, they're so easy. You just let it slip through your fingers and treadle. That's all you gotta do. And even though the treadling is most likely the most physically intensive part, it just feels a lot easier. I mean, I'm definitely expending some mental energy here, so I guess that's the part that I don't really have to focus on, or at least as much. But I don't know, flying just always feels so easy. Which is not always a good thing, to be fair. Sometimes it's so easy that it's really boring. Like miles of stock in that. It gets boring. Really much of it on tournaments, so gotta get used to it. I think some of these might be better prepped than others, because it feels like every other one gets terribly, but every other one goes really nicely. So I'm wondering if maybe I had good technique initially, or good technique after half an hour. I'm not spinning them in order. They fell on the floor. Got all jumbled up, so yeah, not in order at all. Just random. But yeah, by laid 3-ply, or by laid ply in general, what I mean is just that you're holding all the plies together and letting them ply like that, as opposed to chain ply or Google ply or like bracelet / self ply. As opposed to any of those, it's just have the singles and lay them next to each other and let them fly. It's a term I borrowed from braiding, and it just feels like very applicable in this situation. And as far as I know, there is not another set of terms for that specific type of thing. So I'll use it in my notes a lot to reference exactly what I'm doing, because otherwise I kind of have to describe the process, which is like superfluous because I know what the process is. I just need a word to refer to it, So that is why I call them that. It does also just go so much better when I'm able to pedal quickly. Like, it's definitely not having enough twist makes this long draw thing not really work, essentially. But the problem is giving enough twist is not easy on a wheel this slow. with these this stodgy. So unrelated, but I was really worried that when I picked up the cotton spinning again after getting my septum pierced, we would have really bad issues with fibers getting caught because I was already having issues with fibers getting caught in my nose. Just like they get caught in my nose hair, I guess. But now it's like I was worried that they would get caught on the septum piercing. As far as I could tell, that has only just now happened for the first time, which is a lot less than usually happens. So that is actually an improvement somehow. Maybe just because there's a lot less space. Also, maybe because I'm not breathing through my nose nearly as much due to the fact that there is something in it, and I'm not used to that yet. Slowly getting there. I think we'll do most likely this. Well, actually, no. If this takes me 9 minutes, then that's a serious problem. I guess we'll just keep going until we hit 2 hours. I was gonna say this is our last one, but nope, 9 minutes left, so we should be able to get through 3 if I can book it. I'll try. We'll see. The more we do now, the less we have to do later. Was really hoping that we would get this all finished applied before Wednesday, so that Wednesday could be the spinning in bed thing, because I'm going to be recovering from getting a tooth pulled on Wednesday. So I don't think I can spin really on that day. I would probably be too tired. I don't think we're going to have time, so I probably just have to skip this Wednesday. Most likely, unless I get really bored. It's possible. My benefits do not allow me to get paid if I take a partial day. Only if I take a full day. So I take a full day every single time because obviously I'm not going to skip out on getting paid while also working more. That doesn't make any sense. So I'm going to take a full day off for that, but it shouldn't take all day, I hope, unless something is disastrously wrong. So I'll have a lot of free time. But that said, I can't actually, because I'm on a paying contract, because America is medieval, frankly, when it comes to pain management. It's a medieval place to live. On a pain contract, so I can't actually get the pain medication that I would normally get for removing a tooth. All of the over-the-counter stuff I can't take. I'm allergic to it. So I can only take, like Oxy 5s is what I typically got for getting my teeth pulled, or for serious dental work like that. Before I was on a pain contract, now that I'm on one, if I accept any, then not only will I lose all my pain meds, but I'll have a permanent black mark against me on my medical record. So that's a terrifying prospect, and I am not going to try. So that means my normal pain meds are just going to have to carry me through, which sucks because they don't carry me through even when I'm not dealing with a gaping hole in my jaw. So I'm probably also just going to get really high and utilize a lot of weed, most likely. Gotta do something, right? Yeah, it does suck. Since for disabled people, and particularly disabled people who deal with severe chronic pain, things are not good in the US right now. Doctors are like getting more and more scared to prescribe anything helpful. Like at the moment, I am not on a traditional painkiller, nor have I ever been for severe pain. I am on something that is specifically for drug addicts, despite not being a drug addict. Because that is the only thing that my pain management doctor feels comfortable prescribing, which is ironic, because that is how you get drug addicts very easily. Is don't give people the thing they need, and then they turn to the streets, understandably. So it's kind of ridiculous to be treated like a drug addict by my doctor when it's like I could get way more effective stuff from the streets cheaper than for what I'm getting these things for, and for far less hassle. Yet instead, I am being punished for attempting to do it the legal way. So that is really something. And to be clear, I have no issue whatsoever with people turning to the streets for drugs. I mean, it sucks because you can die that way. It's not as safe, and they shouldn't have to. But when it's that or inadequate pain management from a doctor, why the fuck would you pick inadequate pain management from a doctor? I don't even know why I'm picking that, to be honest. So yeah, I don't know. It is what it is, unfortunately. I really wish that I had been like sick during the period of doctors over-prescribing meds, because that sounds like it would have been a hell of a lot more fun. But I'm not. So I just smoke a lot of weed about it, pretty much. I'm glad I at least live in a state where weed is legal. I don't think I'd be able to cope if I didn't. Wow, that actually did take me 6 minutes to spin just that one. That's not ideal. Definitely slower than it usually is. I'm also traveling slower than I usually do because my knee hurts. Oh well. We'll do this last one, which will probably take us a little bit over an hour, and I think that's all I have the energy for. But yeah, we'll finish this one. Yeah, it's a terrible system. I would rather live absolutely anywhere else I wouldn't. But also, because I'm disabled, I cannot emigrate anywhere. Because nobody wants to have to pay for a disabled person. So, stuck here. Gonna make it the fastest problem as much as I can, and have been doing so. What else can you do, right? It is easier, like, to live like this when you have fully run out of fucks to give, and also run out a really long time ago, so you're used to being like that. It makes it easier in some respects. Like, I think if I had just been torn out of respectable folk in this situation, then I probably would stay a little worse. But I was already kind of in the gutter before any of this stuff happened. So I don't know. Kind of used to it, to be honest. That was a really satisfying bit of long draw. It's like this huge thick section that just whittled itself down perfectly. I love watching that. That's part of why spinning this cotton is so addicting. Like, visually, it's very fun to watch. Texturally, it's really lovely and soft. And from a brain perspective, it's very engaging because it's still new and somewhat difficult. So it's sort of like everything I love. Very nice. So I feel like we've spun enough today. Another hour tomorrow should get us ready to fly. That is awesome. It might, like, I think it's possible that the first bobbin that you spun is going to have more than the other two, but I don't have a problem with that. Like, no matter what, I'm going to be juggling the fiber, trying to get it all even, so I don't really think it matters. And I don't mind chain flying a small section of it at the end if I end up with just like one singles left. That is not a deal breaker for me. All right. So we ended up with that much, and in comparison, here's the first bobbin. So like we're definitely, hang on, I wonder if I can, there we go. We're definitely not there yet, but we're a lot closer. Yeah, I think 1 more hour ought to do it, especially if I can treadle quickly and stop myself from picking at the fiber like I did this time. But yeah, thanks for dropping by on the stream. Not too far to go, looks good. Yeah, agreed, and thank you. Yeah, I think I'm gonna go to bed. I'm very tired already. Although I am gonna try and reel this, so I guess I'll try and reel this and then go to bed. And yeah, see you guys next time. Hopefully tomorrow. Should all line up that I can do a 1 hour stream tomorrow as well. So that's what I'm gonna aim for. So yeah, thanks for dropping by and chatting and everything. It's always a joy. Have a good night.